Hello everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Scores Settled, and this is the UGC NET edition. Now from now on we'll be discussing the UGC NET June 2025 exam, which will serve as an important factor or an important component in your preparation for the upcoming UGC NET Economics exam. So let's begin. The first question is that if Q is equal to a function of K by L is a homogeneous production of degree 1, which of the following satisfies the Euler's theorem? So Euler's theorem basically states that labor, if paid according to its marginal productivity, right, plus capital if paid according to its marginal productivity, then in that case the total output will be exhausted. So that will be equal to your total productivity. In other words, if the factors of production are paid according to their marginal productivities, then in that case we will exhaust the entire output that is produced. That is what your Euler's theorem basically states. Now let's go through the option. So basically dq by dk shows the marginal product. Okay, so in this case it is the marginal product of capital, that is K, and dq by dl will show us marginal product of labor into L, which is equal to total output Q. So second is the right answer in this case. Next question. Now, if the income effect is in the opposite direction as the substitution effect, but the substitution effect dominates, then the good is, for this, first you need to know the mathematical derivation of the same. So please note down that dxi upon dpi is equal to your dhi upon dpi, which will show you your substitution effect, minus xi into dxi upon dm, which shows your income effect. Okay, and this component is your price effect. Right, now when the substitution effect is greater than the income effect, then the good is inferior, but it is not given. Please remember, it is clearly mentioned in the study material that we provide that all inferior goods are not given goods, right? Are not given goods, but all given goods are inferior goods. This is clearly and explicitly mentioned in the study material, right? So don't forget to go through it thoroughly. Okay, so if the substitution effect is greater, if it dominates, then the good is inferior, but it is not given. However, if it would have been that the income effect dominates, then in that case it would be a given good, right? So the correct answer in this case is option 2, that is inferior but not given. Okay. Next question. If both input and output markets are competitive and firms are profit maximizing, then in equilibrium each of the factor of production earns. Now if they are competitive, then that means that your total output will be exhausted. Total output is exhausted in this case. Okay, so each factor of your production, please remember the Euler's theorem, right? Each factor of production will be paid according to its marginal product, the value of marginal product, what it is actually contributing to the total output. Okay, so fourth is the right answer in this case. Okay, next question. Which of the following game does not have any Nash equilibrium? Now this is very important and very informative as well. So number 1 is the BOS game, Battle of the Sexes. Okay, BOS stands for Battle of the Sexes. Now this is a non-cooperative game. Please note it down. This is a non-cooperative game, right? So and the two parties, they have conflicting preferences. They want to coordinate, but they have conflicting choices. So as a result, there will be two Nash equilibrium in this case. So there is one Nash equilibrium, so one cannot be the answer. Next is your stag hunt game. Now basically you can note it down that it reflects the conflict between safety and mutual cooperation. Okay, mutual cooperation, whether the two parties want to go in for a high reward collaborative action, but there is a high risk involved in this case, in the sense that what if the other party backs out, right? Or a low reward safe action, right? So it is okay, we are not concerned with what the other party would do, we are satisfied with our own low reward, right? So they do want to collaborate, but again, collaboration involves a higher risk. Okay, so again, there will be a Nash equilibria in this case, right? So this can also be not the answer. Next is your matching pennies game. It is a kind of a zero-sum game. Your gain is my loss, my gain is your loss, right? So there cannot be any kind of a Nash equilibrium in this case, right? So zero-sum game, it is an example of a zero-sum game. Next is your, the right answer is option 3, because this kind of a game does not have a Nash equilibrium. Last, you know it all, prisoner's dilemma, right? So this is where the firms, they fail to cooperate in the fear that what if the other party betrays. Okay, so there also there is a Nash equilibria, which is a low return Nash equilibria basically, right? But still there is one. So fourth cannot be the answer. So the correct answer is your matching pennies game. Okay, so this is the right answer in this case. Last question is that in the context of classical economics, an increase in money supply, right, causes. Now basically we have to understand the classical dichotomy in this case, right? So it is explained in detail in the study material, but just for a brief introduction, that any change in a nominal variable, right, will not be reflected in the real variables. Nominal economy is different than the real economy, and they do not affect one another. Okay, so an increase in money supply will only lead to a shift in your aggregate demand curve to the right, because it will lead to more money in the hands of the people and they'll demand more. So aggregate demand curve will shift rightwards in this case, right? So this is the right answer, right? Why we are not taking into account the price increases? Because we are taking, or we are considering only the nominal variable here. We are not considering any real variable here. Okay, so that is why an increase in money supply will lead to a rightward shift in your aggregate demand curve, because if people have more money in their hands, they will demand more, and as a result, the aggregate demand curve will shift rightwards. Okay, irrespective of the prices in account. Okay, so these were the first 5 questions from the UGC NET June 2025 exam, and in the next video we'll bring another set of 5 questions from the very same question paper, right? Till then, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.